The South Carolina Gamecocks suffer a heartbreaking loss to the LSU Tigers. Let's talk about it. Doing another outdoor pod on this channel because after what I just watched and my heart beating over 200 miles per hour for most of the game, I think we could use the therapy of just sitting outdoors and looking at nature after what we just watched. Heartbreaking, soul-crushing, devastating, whatever you want to use to describe this game and the outcome of this game. An emotional roller coaster. At one point, the Gamecocks were up 17-0. It felt like almost everything was going right. Your defense was actually making plays. You got a special teams, a blocked punt. And, after that, Rocket Sanders ran for a touchdown. You were up 17-0. And then. I have been a South Carolina fan since 2009. I have seen a lot of heartbreaking, crushing losses. But this one has to be one of the most painful South Carolina games that I can honestly remember. And there's a lot of contributing factors to that, guys. I'm recording this immediately after the game, so you're getting the raw emotion of, right now, a sad Gamecock. I mean, you were up 17-0. You had a lot going your way. You were running the ball well. You went down and scored first. You had a block punt in this game. You had a goal line stand. You had a bunch of turnovers, scoring turnovers that got called back due to penalties. And I will get to that in a minute. Just self-inflicting wounds, injuries, and a blown double-digit lead. Just crushing. We talked about coming into this game how good the defense was and how they would be a big factor in this game. And I will say, did the defensive line make plays? Yes. Did the defense make plays? Yes. But there was atrocious tackling. A lot of the issues we saw last year, it kind of returned in this game. Your run defense was poor. You stopped the run a couple times, but the majority of the games you couldn't. And you got gashed through the air, which, by the way, coming into this game, I expected LSU was going to have some success through the air. I knew they would. But a lot of that was aided by the penalties. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this right now because I know everyone is talking about this. The refs in this game were an absolute joke, an embarrassing, and they need to be investigated. A screw job by the referees. And I'm not saying that the refs are the sole reason Carolina lost this game. I have never blamed the refs for a loss. And I'm going to try not to do that right now. But oh my God, some of the calls in this game were absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. That call, when Carolina got the pick six to get 40-29, which probably, let's be real, that would have put the game away. That was a bad call by the refs. A bad call by the refs. Inexcusable. Absolutely ridiculous. They shouldn't have a job after that one. If you can't do your job right, you shouldn't have that job to begin with. Terrible. But there were self-inflicted plays and wounds by this defense. There were. And there were, self-inflicted plays and wounds for the offense as well. And the thing is, I'm not blaming the refs for this loss because here's the truth, guys. As bad as the refs were, you really should never have been in that position to where the game came down to them when you were up 17-0. You were up 17-0. It shouldn't have been on the refs. You were up 17-0 and you blew that lead. You blew it. Your defense stopped tackling. Well, I mean, LSU figured you out. And what scares me now is there's a blueprint now on how to get this South Carolina defense. Again, hey, LSU's got a good offense. They got a good offensive line, and they did show up. Again, Carolina got theirs defensively, But, man, like I said, just poor tackling. Heartbreaking. Well, Norris Sellers, though, let's talk about him. Dude gave everything he had in this game. There were mistakes, but a 75-yard run. Touchdown run. Is that the longest touchdown run by a South Carolina quarterback? Or was that Connor Shaw? That long Connor Shaw. I forgot what game it was, but I think Connor Shaw had a long touchdown pass that was called back. I think that was 2012 Missouri when Connor Shaw basically had an 80-yard touchdown run that got called back by the refs. But this one stood. And Rocket Sanders made plays too. Rocket Sanders made plays as well. This offense made plays. They weren't perfect, but they made plays. They gave you opportunities. But some of the play calling here too was really bad. The QB runs, the quarterback keepers, I did not agree with that. And hey, give Robbie Ashford credit. Didn't play the greatest, but I mean, he tried. In that final drive, he tried. And guys, I feel so bad for Alex Herrera. I feel so bad for the dude. I mean, that had to hurt. As bad as it hurts for us Carolina fans, the dude missed a field goal. I feel really bad for him. Just a crushing loss. All across the board, a crushing loss. A frustrating loss, too. Because it really feels like this team should be 3-0 right now. It really does. How you started that game. 17-0. And the rest basically screwing you out of it as well. Horrific. And again, guys, later in the week, I'm going to recap this game. I mean, obviously, again, this is right after the game, so emotions are high. Not the most rational speaking. But it's hard for me not to call this a referee screw job, man. It's really hard for me not to. Because there were obvious missed calls, obvious bad calls that screwed South Carolina out of big plays. Defensive touchdowns. Offensive touchdowns. First downs. I mean, go on. Horrific. And hey, LSU fans, congratulations on the win. Because y'all win the game. It's one thing for the referees to make bad calls, but it's another thing for LSU to take advantage. And they took advantage. They took advantage of what was given to them. There's a lot of teams who don't do that. LSU did it. And they won the game. So congrats to the LSU fans. But I'm going to be honest with you. I am an upset and pissed South Carolina fan today. All these cars, man. All these cars. This is heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking loss for South Carolina. It's a heartbreaking loss. But the thing is, you got your first loss of the season, but I don't think this is and look, our season's not over because we lost this game. This doesn't derail your season. Because how do you respond to this? Because you have Akron next week. More than likely, you're going to win that game, and you can even take out a lot of anger on Akron. You'll be 3-1 more than likely coming into the bye week. And you'll have some more opportunities after the bye week to do it again. But, man, this one hurts. This I'm really frustrated. I'm holding back a lot of words right now because I want to go off on these referees much more than what I'm doing right now. I mean, inexcusable. I mean, I'm pissed. I am pissed. I better find out that these refs are out of a job. I better. They should never be college referees. They should never be referees of any time ever again. And whoever gave them the officiating job, that person ought to be questioned too. Because my God. Horrible. And again, you should never have been in that position where the game came down to the refs. But my God, the referees, they did a terrible job in this game. Terrible job. My God, man. Just devastating. Devastating. And South Carolina, look, give this team credit, man. Despite everything, they hung in there to the very end. They gave LSU a tough game. LSU was lucky to survive this game at Columbia. They got out of Columbia through the skin of their teeth and the help of the refs. That's the reality. That's the reality. And again, they took advantage of what they were given. So give them credit. I know a lot of us aren't going to want to do that. A lot of us are like, no, screw them. They were helped by the refs. But, guys, you had a 17-0 lead. You have a 17-0 lead. Again, it should have never came down to where the game was in the refs' hand. Never. Never, ever, ever. It wasn't just on the refs. It was by our own doing as well. And we got to respond to this. How do you respond to adversity? How do you respond? Another crushing loss at Williams-Brice Stadium. How do you respond? Again, a tough one. Heartbreaking. Devastating. Especially with all the hope, all the excitement early on in this game. And it really felt like almost everything was going right. Tough. Again, though, I'm still a Gamecock. Hey, I show up win or lose. I show up win or lose. And I still pull for the Gamecocks. That'll never change. But I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't hurt. Still, though, we'll see how this team responds. Go Gamecocks.